Okay, yeah, so we're going to work on drawing a color wheel together. So the first thing is you're going to need a few supplies to get this going. Um, you'll need a sheet of paper, preferably one that's solid white, not lined. That way it just cuts down on confusion when you're trying to color in the wedges. You're going to need something circular to trace. This is a coffee lid off of the coffee bucket. You could use a small plate or a cereal bowl, something in your house that is rounded to trace. And then you're going to need something that has a straight edge to trace. I know I've passed out coloring pencil boxes to you guys. Hopefully, those are still intact. Those are a really good tool to use. If not, if you have any kind of mail that comes in or an old birthday card, this cardstock is nice and thick. So you could use that too to draw your straight lines. Okay, so here we go. First, you're going to lay down your circle. I'm going to use a pencil and go around the edge. I use one hand to hold it still, the other hand to actually draw the circle. That is probably the neatest circle I've ever drawn. Okay, so you guys can see my circle is there now. All right, then we're going to start breaking it up into the sections. So the color wheel is a little tricky because it has, it doesn't, you'll see in a second. You're going to first divide it. Okay, this way. Just draw a line straight up and down the center. That gives you two areas. Okay, then here's what I was saying about being a little tricky. Now you have to take these two sections and break them into three. So one becomes three. So I just kind of make a point, and I'm like, there's one, two, three sections now. So you're going to draw two more lines. So start with this one. Try to bring it straight across if you can. Okay. Come over to the other one. Try to draw it. This is where you already have an X now. So try to make sure you meet that X in the middle so that your intersections start to kind of get neat there in the center. Okay. Now there's one more step. Each of these has to become two parts. So start right here and just go in your circle. I'm going to line it up with about middle of that wedge and this dot right here. Okay, then I'm going to turn it, do the next one. That looks to be close to the middle, maybe not exactly, but close enough for this learning tool we're making. Okay, so we have those two sections, those two. Now this is our last one because it's going to divide up the last wedges we have here. Okay, again, line it up right here. Try to line it up in the middle as best you can. All right, so that's a pretty neat hand-drawn color wheel. All right, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by coloring it in. I want you to color it in using either crayons or colored pencils because you're going to mix some of your colors together. So you choose crayons, colored pencils. Either one works for me. I like crayons personally, so I'm going to use my crayons. I'm going to pull out the red one, the blue one. It's up to you which blue you want to use. I like to use the true blue. There's the yellow one. It was in my way. I was looking for, there's blue. Okay, and I am fine with you using the secondary colors, which are going to be green, orange, violet. There's violet. Okay, you're going to use those six, but you're going to mix the other six colors that fall in between the primary and secondary colors. So with colors, you have basic groupings or families. So you have red, blue, yellow, which make up primary colors. These three colors are, you can't mix them. You can't take any other colors on the color wheel and mix them to make yellow, blue, or red. You have to have these three. Now, if you have these three, you can mix any of the secondary colors, which are these on the other hand. You can mix any of those, or you could mix the tertiary colors or even some others. Like you can make browns out of these colors and some of the neutrals, but you have to have these three to start with. Okay, so we're going to start, we're going to look for evenly spaced for the primary. So we're going to start with blue. If you count, there are 12 sections to this. So we're going to start with this one being blue. Okay, and then we're going to skip 3 areas and do the next one, red, and then skip 3, 1, 2, 3, right here. And notice I labeled it with little dots on the outside first. That saves me from coloring a whole section wrong and then having to go back and fix it. Okay, so I'm going to start and color in these 3 sections. Now, when you're coloring, just some general tips, it is nice to try to fill in all of the white space of your paper, whether it's crayons, markers, colored pencils. That just means you have to go over it a little bit longer. You have to be aware of where you're coloring and have control over whatever tool you're using to color. Okay, so yellow's done. We're going to move on to red. It's easier to see the white spaces left behind here. So coloring with crayons, it is one of those times when it's nice to color in the same direction. But if you're going to go back and press really hard, that may not even be necessary. Because if you go back this way while you're pressing hard, it all gets to that dark red color. All right, then we have the blue section. Now this is the new Crayola color, Bluetiful. It's a little darker blue than I would normally use. I didn't realize when I grabbed it, but it still works. It's pretty close to the true blue color you would see. It might just be a little more of a darker value than the one that you use, but it still works for all of the purposes. Now we're going to go back in and fill in the secondary colors. So if you mix blue and red, you get purple or violet. So in between red and blue, violet will be the center one. These are secondary colors, meaning there's still going to be, I call them the children, in between the parents. So if red and blue were the parents, purple would be their child, but if purple and red were the parents, then the one in between them would be theirs. Okay, so now between red and yellow, mix red and yellow, you get orange. Think of South Sun colors here in Muhlenberg County. I always thought that it was nice that the warm colors of the color wheel went to be South Suns. Makes sense. Suns are warm. They used a warm color palette. Okay, spinning the wheel around. That's the best part about it being a wheel, is that there's no beginning and end. It just circles into each other. So blue and yellow make green. Between blue and yellow, I will color green. Now once you get this wedge colored in, it will look like a mint with color white, color white, color white all the way around. Okay, so now this is primary and secondary colors done. You're going to go in and do the next step. Now you only have these 6 crowns because I want you to mix the 2 colors to get the color it's going to be in your coloring. So between yellow and green, I'm going to go in and color that one yellow first. Then go back over it with the green. And then depending on how much white space you have, you may have to do a second coat really quickly and fill it in. So then you get a Lime green is the tertiary color between, it's yellow green, between yellow and green. Okay, same thing for green blue. Shade it in one color. This is a really dark blue, so I'm going to press really lightly. Then you go back over it with the other color, and you get the mix of the two. So this is where you're doing your color mixing on your color wheel, is the white spaces that are left after you do primary and secondary colors. And with your color pencils, you'll have enough color options to do the same thing. You'll just mix them, the tertiary colors as well, because the color pencil pack has all of the secondary and all of the primary colors in it. Okay, so we need red and purple to get the red violet color. Now I want you to try to mix this color. Yes, I know there is a crayon labeled red violet in the packs you got. Try to mix it though. It shows you some of the options you have when you start to actually combine colors instead of just using them straight from the pack. Okay, orange and red makes red orange. And then yellow and orange makes yellow orange. So after this, there's one more step I want you guys to see. Let me get the last part colored yellow. Okay, so there's your color wheel. Now, the last step is for you to just go in and label the colors. Okay, so you have red. This is one of the in-between colors. So this one is called red, orange. When you're labeling the in-between colors, you'll have a primary and then the secondary color name every time, because primary is the main part of that. So yellow is a primary color. It will come first in yellow, orange. They are all hyphenated words. Yellow. We have yellow, green. It's easy to remember if you think of it as this. You will have yellow, yellow, red, red, blue, blue on these. So if you get mixed up because there's all these extra colors, they're all going to have that primary word first. So blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet or purple, you can call it either, and then red, violet, because it's closest to red. And there's your color wheel, and it's labeled. So this is one of your assignments. This will be an entire week's assignment for you. Color the entire color wheel. Remember, I want you to mix the tertiary colors or the intermediate colors, the ones that are in between primary and secondary colors. Good luck.